Hello, it's Nerfcraft, and in this video I'm going to be working on my T-Maxx. A while ago, the engine stopped running while I was playing with them, and then I haven't been able to get this thing started since. So I'm going to do a full rebuild of Max. I'll be doing the same thing with Steel, but he hasn't been cleaned up at all yet, so I'll go ahead and mark from this angle. But yeah, oh dang, that broke. That sucks. Yeah, I think I'm going to be soldering wires directly to starter motors. But anyway, first thing I'm going to do is, of course, take off the wheels. So let's get right into that as soon as I find a wrench. All four wheels here have been removed, so now I can kind of put those off to the side, put them back here for now, and we can move on to the next part. But I think that the easiest way to go about this is to take out the whole center, everything in the middle of the truck, and pretty much make it a rolling chassis at this point. Let me remove the engine itself. So all I'm going to do is unplug this exhaust for now, swing that out of the way, remove the easy starter. I can do that. So let me remove the screws right here that holds in the plug. Alright, that's been done. Now I'm going to unplug the gas tank and unplug this top part because I found a trick. If I unplug one of the gas lines, I can plug one end of the gas line into the bottom of the gas tank and the other end up at the top. And now if there's any fuel in here anymore, that cannot come out because of the gas line blocking it off. So next I'm going to remove this exhaust by removing the screw and nut right here. This one. And then that should come right off. And with that screw removed, the exhaust just pulls away. No problem there. Now we can move on to the engine itself. That should be held on with 4 screws on the bottom right here. I guess I only have 3 screws holding that in. Probably not the best thing, but here's the engine. I can unplug this this wire right here. That's another wire, easy starter. And then we can come back to this. But for now I'm going to continue on this truck. Alright, next thing I think I'm going to do is pretty much rip out all these electronics. I'm going to swipe my phone for a second so you guys won't see this, but I'm just going to snap a picture of all the positions of the servos so I know where to screw them back in when I recenter. So next I'm going to go ahead and remove these servo pieces where all the throttle linkages go. Those are both removed. Pull this one away, this is shifting. The other one is attached because of the brake, so I'm just going to pull that away when I remove the transmission itself, which I'm going to do right now. So that's just 8 screws in these holes down here. Alright, the transmission has finally come loose. Those screws being removed, so I think I can wiggle it out if I haven't missed anything. And of course, all of these screws are going to fall out. Oh, you know what? I need to remove a transmission. Not a transmission, a drive shaft. Center drive shaft before I can remove the entire transmission. But first, let me see if I can get these screws loose. Alright, so we got all the screws. And now what I need to do is I need to flip this over, and I need to remove the grub screw pins on the center drive shaft right here. So this pin right here. The transmission should now be, well, completely free. So that's all I really need for this thing. I'm not really going to open this up because I did it in the past and there's nothing wrong with it. So the transmission should be fine. But I am going to go ahead and continue removing these bottom braces here so that I can completely remove them. And all I need to do is remove 4 screws that are holding it in, or holding them into the skid plates. So just in case I confused you there was 4 screws for each of the skid plates, front and rear, that hold onto the braces. But now the braces have been removed, so I'm going to set those off to the side here, and I'm going to keep all of the transmission screws with it. I think I am going to go ahead and finish removing the skid plates. So I have 6 more screws up front, 2 on the bulkheads, and then 2 holding in the steering bell cranks, but only 4 more on the rear skid plate because I only have the bulkheads. So let's get that done. Alright, looks like I got 3 different sizes of screws here, just to make things easier. But the 4 longest ones go up towards the front where they screw into the bulkheads. The 4 medium-sized ones go towards the back to screw into the braces. And then the 2 shortest ones go into the steering bell cranks. That's what it looks like. And why is that? Aha, I forgot that's broken. I do have a cracked A-arm here. The front part is messed up, so this is going to do some weird stuff until I get that replaced. But that's something I'm going to have to live with for now because I don't feel like replacing it yet. For now, let's continue removing the rear skid plate. The rear skid plate is the same as the front, with the longest screws going into the bulkheads and the medium-sized screws going into the center braces. But this time the metal plate came off with the skid plate because it's kind of disgusting on there compared to the front. So that's going to need a lot more cleaning than the skid plate will. But I'm going to go ahead and start bagging some stuff up real fast, so quick break for that. Alright, so continuing on, I'm going to go ahead and finish removing the center drive shafts. Except these parts are the ones that are attached to the diffs themselves, so I need to remove each of those. So I'm hoping you can hear that, but that's the diff making a bunch of noise. So something tells me that it needs more grease, or fresh grease anyway. I don't know, it almost sounds like there's not a lot of grease. It's making a bit of noise too, so that is really, really weird. I'm not sure why it's making those noises, but my first guess would be that I need to put, just clean them up and re-lube them properly. So next I'm going to go ahead and start removing the servo saver, this white piece right here, as well as the 4 screws that hold in this servo, and the 4 screws on each of the other servos, so I can start removing each of those. All of these servos have been unscrewed now. They're not completely free because they're still all wired up. There should be a total of 12 screws that we're holding in the servos, which, yes, it looks like there are 12 screws here. So I now have all 12 of the servos unscrewed, and I have all 3 of the servos unscrewed. Woo! And all 12 of the servo screws still. Alright. So now I can move on to, I think I'm going to remove these 2 servo stands here, just so that I can easily remove the servo wires. Alright, the servo stands have been removed. It's kind of weird because the front one uses 2 countersunk screws, but the back ones use these 2 button head screws. So that's just a little bit interesting, a little bit strange in my opinion, but anyway, continuing on, I need to remove this receiver box. Got the receiver right here, and now I just need to unplug all the servos. And there is 1 power wire here, but don't worry about getting them mixed up. There is a way to remember how to put them back. And you do have like an extra servo here for shifting, but it's not that hard to remember. You just gotta use process of elimination. So, oh, this is hooked. So I'm going to remove this piece right here, which looks like I've got a screw right here and a screw on the other side as well. I don't see another screw, so remove this screw down at the bottom here, and that should release the other servo mount, and it dropped right off there. So now I think I can get all the servos completely undone. So all I've got now is the power cable that's tying this all together, and that's in this box. So I need to remove these screws. And as you can see here, we have a battery pack, which these wires get pinched. looks like they have been pinched a little bit, so that's not good. The main thing is that the power needs to get to the servos while I'm driving, so I might have to remove those pinched wires and switch them out for new wires. Let's see. I think I'm going to remove the bottom of these boxes, and it looks like there's just a number of screws for that. I've got a screw here. This holds on the back receiver mounting, or not, the servo mount. So I need to remove that. And then the other boxes are held on with, they're each held on with 2 countersunk screws. So let's remove all that. That's been removed, and as I was removing that, I realized just how much this chassis can flex here. And there's actually a good amount of flex there, just from pushing on it with my hands just a little bit. I'm not applying a whole lot of force, and it's flexing quite a bit, so that just gives you an idea of how much movement there is when you're driving this truck. And next I'm going to pretty much remove the front and rear assembly, because this chassis is pretty much completely bare, and I'm going to be doing a lot of cleaning with this chassis. So first thing I'm going to do, or I guess the only thing at the second, is remove 6 screws up front. There's these 2 button head ones. This is for the steering belt crank, and 4 countersunk screws. That is for the bulkheads. And then the whole front end should just slide right off. And then remove the 4 back here, and the whole rear end should slide right off. So let's get that done. Well, the chassis has been completely freed from everything. Screws for the front and rear assembly. Which one do I want to start with? I guess I'll start with the rear since I've got it in my hands, but I'm going to start by removing the bumper, which is held on by 2 screws on this side and 2 screws on this side that go into the bulkhead. And it just so happens that some of those screws are bent. Now, I'm pretty sure I remember this from before, and they may have gotten worse since then. They may not have, but I regret not changing them when I had the chance, because now it's going to be a pain to get those out. Well, as far as screws go, it looks like, or as far as the bumper goes, it looks like I'm not getting the screws off right now. Since I couldn't get those bumper screws out at the second, I may have to Dremel off the bent ones or something along those lines, but for now, I'm going to remove these links, which has 2 screws on the bulkheads right here, and then 2 screws on the rear axle carriers. Let's get those removed. Screws on each side of the links are all the same size, so that's helpful because I don't have to remember that. But I do have to remove this bumper before I can really do anything else. I can take out the bottom arms, but you know, as soon as I do that, I've got to remove the bumper anyway to do anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't remove this thing at this point. You know what? Let me go ahead and remove the shocks, the bottom of the shocks. I'll just make it easier to not have to fight that. The bottom of the shocks have been removed, so now I can compress these shocks, and they're going to need to be cleaned really good. But for now, I can compress them and move them up, kind of like this. I'm hoping the caps can't get past the other options of the shock tower. I'm just going to move them up out of the way as much as I possibly can. Alright, now I'm hoping to be able to remove some stuff a little bit easier. Let's see. So let me go ahead and see if I can get these bottom screws out of the bumper now. Finally. I got 3 of the 4 screws out. 2 of them were the bent ones, so that's super helpful because I don't know if you saw there, but I was using the pliers to twist them out. But these are all going to go straight into the trash bin. That would help. I'm going to take off the 4 screws that hold on the this part of the bumper. I don't know what you call it, but part that really gets the abuse. So yeah, take this off. As you can see, the back part of the bumper came off, as well as one of the braces, because both the screws in that brace have been removed. I actually can reach a lot of the parts that I need to, like the pin screws for the, what do you call it? The pin screws for the A-arms. That's it. I can reach those, so I'm going to remove them. And as you can see here, the A-arms have been completely removed, which is awesome. It's going to be useful to have out of here now. So next thing to do, I'm going to put this off to the side for now. I'm going to put these pins off to the side for now. I'm going to go ahead and remove the top of each of the shocks. And that leaves me with 4 rear shocks that seem okay. Okay, so I think the next thing I'm going to do is see if I can get the screw out now, since those A-arms are out of the way. So I'm going to struggle with this for a little bit, and I'll be back once I've gotten it out. It's out, guys. As you can see, without those arms in the way, getting this screw out was a much different story. So that's awesome. Now I have a very tight diff to work on, and a noisy one. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot straight for getting that out. So first I'm going to remove these 4 back screws right here that these screws hold the shock tower to the bulkheads. And that was really easy to get apart. So now I can just slide off each of the bulkheads and work on the diff. And there's a piece on the front right here that can slide off. This just helps guide the bulkheads over the diff so that they stay straight. But man, this is where stuff gets really, really disgusting. So now I need to remove these pins right here, these screw pins. Alright, the drive shafts have been removed from the diff. And now I'm going to open this thing up and I'm going to be poisoned. That's what's going to happen. So there are versions of these that have 4 screws, but this one only has 2. Of course, removing those 2 screws was a pretty easy task. So all I've got to do is pop open this housing here. Alright. Now that this thing's open, you can see that there is this gear up front here. I don't know what you call this gear, but there's 2 bearings on that. There's a bearing on this side right here, which feels like it's sticking. So I'm going to have to remove this bearing. So I think to do that, I'm going to go ahead and use this flathead screwdriver to pry it off. Alright, I wiped off a lot of that grease. It's still a little bit tacky with some old stuff. Like, this is not even grease anymore. This is just gunk. It's like hardened up grease. If that makes any kind of sense. It's no longer actual healthy grease. So I'm going to get a tiny screwdriver down here and open up the inside of this diff so that I can empty its contents. So I'll get a paper towel. So 4 removed screws later, we are in the inside of the diff. So there's one giant gear right here, and I can feel there should be a bearing here that seems to be sticking. I guess there's not a bearing there. Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but it is quite nasty grease. And then this is the inside, and there should be some planetary gears. Here's 2 of them, and I think that's all the gears. So this thing is quite nasty. Just to give you guys an idea of how much work this is, that was just the rear end. Now I've got to do the front end. Now the only real difference between the front end and the rear end for doing this is that these links are hooked up to steering bell cranks instead of bulkheads. So I don't have to remove this side of the links, at least not for my purposes. So I can take all this apart pretty much the exact same way I took the rear end apart. Except I'm going to hope that the front bumper screws are not nearly as bad as the rear one. Alright guys, I'm back to show you this because I want to show you something. While I was taking this apart, I noticed that the bottom 2 pins that go into the bottom of the bulkheads here were cracked, or bent, I mean. And I'm not sure if this just happened because I was taking out bent pins, if it was, or if this was from me driving the truck, or if it was like this when I got it. But this bulkhead yeah, it's cracked. That's just ridiculously destroyed right there. Yeah, I don't have money to replace this right now, so I'm going to painfully have to drive as carefully as possible just to not break this until I can get a new bulkhead. That sucks, but I have no doubt that I will be immediately upgrading to RPM bulkheads, because this will just keep happening, guys. These bulkheads are a known weak part on the Max trucks, so there's not. It sucks because there's not much I can do about it right now. But I just thought I'd let you guys know that that is broken, so look forward to an upgrade soon. Well, that's it, guys. Here's Max. All in bags, except for the wheels, of course. I don't think those need bags, although I might put the nuts in a bag just so I don't lose them. But yeah. That was a lot of disassembling. Oh, I forgot to do the A-arms from the axle carriers. That's okay, I'll do that in another video when I take care of all that. I'm sure I will be doing another video today, but that is going to be it for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of Max's rebuild, and I will see you all later. Bye!